The time has come. Turn your speakers up. You are now listening to the Business of Your Mind podcast with Felipe Barganier. Brought to you by Gab International.
What's up, everybody? This is Felipe Barganier with the Business of Your Mind podcast. Man, look, man, we are about to blow your mind. I know when y'all saw that intro, like y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all probably were dancing in your seats, maybe, a little bit of, like it was from Uncle Luke playing or something, that beat is for a reason. We are committed to making sure that we are bringing you crazy energy, crazy guests, but basically things that are going to help you get your mind right. Because at the end of the day, we're all going through enough. We all got things that we could be worried about. But at the end of the day, as long as you got your mind right, you are good. And this topic we're going to talk about today, I know everybody like evolution. We're talking about dinosaurs. What are we talking about? Like, evolution, like what a lot of people don't realize about evolution, and I don't want to talk about any political candidates or anybody else or anything else, but not everybody is evolved mentally the same way. And once you realize that, it allows you to show up in the world totally different, because you start to realize that not everybody is able to handle everything, because everybody is not on the same evolutionary path, or they're not evolved to the same level. And I have been in relationships. I'm pretty sure you probably been like, man, this person, why they act like they 5 years? Why they act like they 5? Why they, why this person? But then you got a 5-year-old that act like they're 45. So this show and everything that we are about to do. Now, y'all have seen Dr. Manny before on here. Man is I believe he's a certified genius. He just don't tell nobody. And he probably is. He probably smiled like, yeah, my bad. I probably should have told him that, But the brother is just an amazing person, man. And just one of the smartest dudes that I know. And we had him on before, and everybody went crazy because, like, the man is gonna blow your mind. Oh yeah, and we're gonna get him to do he already know what time it is.
And my mind up.
There he goes, man. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Bro, it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Man,
they talk evolution of mind. How'd I do? I jumped right
there.
There
you go.
Oh yeah.
You go, man.
Demonstrate initiative at all times. It's good to see you, though, fam. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, man. And it's, the first time that I realized that there was a thing called mental evolution was actually, I'm not going to mention the person, but I will mention that it was when I was in a relationship. We ended up going to counseling, and one of our other guests, Dr. Rodney Jackson, mentioned that this person was still operating with their reptilian brain, the fight or flight. And it dawned on me then, this was a while ago, that, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that age really ain't nothing but a number? Somebody's age does not mean a hill of beans to where they really are mentally. And a lot of us are walking around entertaining people and things that just, they aren't evolved to that point. And I know we're going to talk about this, but one thing that I want everybody to walk away with tonight is that you may be that person. You may not be that person, but hopefully after this episode, it will allow you to interact with those people in your life that you're like, man, this person, and you'll have more empathy for this person, because it's not about judging people, because we don't know what type of trauma or whatever this person may have gone through that has caused them to. Sometimes can people regress, Dr. Manning?
Absolutely, and we'll get into that as well. Yep.
Okay, so I mean, they may have regressed to that state or just never evolved because of, upbringing or whatever, or some people are just childish. So with that being said, man, can you just talk a little bit at this point about mental evolution? What is mental evolution, and how does that play a factor into how we all interact and show up day to day?
The way I think of mental evolution is the process that each of us goes through as we become more adaptive to our current environment. Because evolution is about competing against natural selection. Even basic evolution is about that. Whatever's going on, predator prey dynamics. So when we're talking about mental evolution, we're talking about keeping up with the current landscape, keeping up with um, predator prey dynamics. Again, we can either be in combative or competitive relationships competing for resources, or as we become more evolved, we're able to have cooperative yet playfully competitive relationships. We're able to do stuff like play, storytelling, foresight, impulse control, deep empathy, and all these things have gotten to the point where they can control how your entire system is being transcribed. And so evolution of mind at this point is really about your ability to access stuff in your mind, that your resources. It's about being able to be so present, um, and so connected, because the purpose of mind is to connect you to the outside reality, and our reality has evolved to be a social reality. So our latest evolution is empathy and self-transcendence, which most of you will know as Maslow's hierarchy, getting all the way to the top and getting beyond uh, yourself.
Mm,
So
man.
is that a good start? I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
seeing,
man. That's man. We're
we'll
about to
see
dig
where it
deep inside.
lands.
Yeah, we're about to get deep. So with that, when you're trying to figure out where you are, let's start there, because I don't want to point the fingers,
Yeah,
but are
yeah.
people able to find out where they are?
When they're willing to see it.
Mm,
Once you're willing to see it, you can find where you are. Until you're willing to see it, you will distort your current position um, in the process through ego narration, storytelling, pretending, procrastinating, perfectionism, workaholism, substance use, maladaptive relationships. You'll do these ego-based self-sabotage dances, and you won't see the ultimate you, because you'll be trying so hard that you won't be allowing the part of you that would express naturally to show.
mm, man. So how do you get so? I mentioned before that, I was, in a relationship, and we ended up going to counseling, and the person was just double hockey sticks bent on believing something about me,
Yeah,
believing that I was cheating and all kind of crazy stuff, right?
yeah,
And it was like the most difficult situation to be in, because this person really believed that.
yeah,
They really believed it. And in counseling, the therapist ended up basically going, look, man, Felipe, you didn't do anything. This person, I'm not trying to make sure I name no names, has not evolved
yeah,
mentally past their reptilian teenage
yeah,
brain.
yeah, yeah. And
And the
trauma
person
does
was,
that.
yeah,
Even
so
micro trauma, even cultural trauma.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Uh, Yeah, specifically, when we're dealing with people of color, uh, people who haven't had a chance to reach certain exposure to certain things due to, like, natural dysfunctional middle class or higher and even upper middle class uh, opportunities.
Mm,
We all live in a story, and the story is based on where we, from roll of the dice or from fate, are born into. From that position, we have the opportunity to expand our awareness to the extent that those around us have expanded their awareness and have acquired beliefs about how much knowledge is safe to have.
mm,
If you're in a tribe where having too much knowledge makes you a threat to the king and his queen is like off with your head, then in that situation it's not adaptive to stand out from whatever the norm is. And if the norm happens to be vibrating at a lower frequency, and by frequency I like the metaphor for consciousness, a less evolved, less advanced frequency, then that's more adaptive to be. Yeah. Part of the
mm,
evolution process is to be aware. You begin your evolution when you decide to know the truth of who you are and what you're capable of. And that's challenging because the most important part of developing that awareness is having courage. And the reason the courage is so important is that ego is activated by fear. And once your ego is activated, you're no longer in the present. You're not in the truth. You're either the story from the past or a story from the future. One of the most powerful things that evolve in mind is the ability to imagine the past in the present and the ability to imagine the future in the present and make decisions based off of there. Yeah.
mm,
And as we evolved, we learned the ability to not only know individual things and know their behaviors in certain contexts, but to be able to project forward and know individual people and to predict their behaviors in context. Who is of integrity? Who can we count on to be where they said they would be at the time that they said they would be there, prepared with the right attitude, and how can we collaborate with them? This is the nature of ultimately the evolution of man is the evolution, and I don't mean man by gender. The evolution of
never
humans
meant to
is the
people. Yeah.
evolution, yeah, the evolution from uh, codependent or heavily dependent to independent and to interdependent. It's
Mm,
interdependency that allows each individual to make their most progress because once you connect mentally into the larger architecture, then you're able to rest and find your place, your lane, your zone of expertise, and you're able to focus like a laser and specialized labor. You're able to know your worth. You don't distract yourself with stuff like overcompensating uh,
mm,
or perfectionism or self-sabotage, because these are old behaviors. Instead,
right.
you express yourself in healthy ways through sublimation, intellectualization, and these healthy ways of being that allow those who are around you to benefit, and then you get included in groups that are moving forward together. And that's the ultimate nature of finding the truth of who you are and letting the system take care of the rest. That's the nature of evolution, saving energy by not fighting to row upstream all the time. That's efficiency, and that's agility.
Whew. My brain hurt, y'all. Hold on.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. We're good, man. But you're speaking my language right now because I'm big on energy, and part of what you're talking about is really energy because it's attraction has to do with that. What you attract, you know. So I'm real big on that. So as it relates to this topic of evolution and mental evolution, what impact does one's lineage or family factor into that?
A whole bunch. Because when we're talking about mental evolution, we're talking about the structure of the story that you have within you autobiographically. So your inner story, the story you tell yourself, their inner child, and we're talking about the environment within which you find yourself. Because if you're someone who's brilliant in an environment where they're not able to understand the brilliance, you're a dead man. That's the guy who's got his
Mm,
heads in the cloud, daydreaming all the time. You know, your ability to, and I call it tribe of origin, where you were born into, your ability to take the programming, the cultural indoctrination that happened where you were born, and to move through that without letting yourself be convinced that this is all you're capable of. You can go as far as your family went. You can go as far as they went with their stories. But when you get to a certain point, the ability to take the stories and be flexible with them has to do with your temperament, your personality, the accumulation of events that you've had in life and how those have impacted you. If all these years you've been told you're not nothing, you'll never amount to nothing, and you actually believed it because it came from those closest to you, then you got a lot more limiting beliefs and emotional baggage to work through when it's time to hit the next level in your process. You're going to have to work
Mm,
harder to self-actualize because your natural habits are going to be to tumble to lower frequencies, lower levels of consciousness, that reptilian amygdala reactive animal limbic consciousness.
mm. So
So
is that so? If you're in a relationship with somebody, and I mean, shoot, forget relationship. If you just have any human relationship with
yeah,
anybody, and you're constantly seeing yourself either with the same type of person or constantly finding yourself feeling less than or feeling like you need to self-sabotage yourself. What I'm Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is that a lot of that could be because of that social conditioning of
absolutely.
being in that tribe or that
Yep,
family unit.
yep,
So you are trying to limit yourself mentally
yep.
by
You're in.
self-sabotaging yourself because you don't want to see you're not trying to go to a certain height because, and I'm not going to lie, I was there, y'all. I was there when I first started my business. I started making all this money. The rest of my friends were in graduate school, and I was like, I don't need graduate school. Let me go ahead and and start my business. And I started making all this money. I was like, man, I started feeling guilty. So it's that's kind of what we're talking about on some level. So
Yep.
what do you do if you find yourself if somebody's watching right now and they're going, man, I think he's talking to me, you know,
Yeah,
like how when you're in church, and you're like, man, the pastor, it's a pastor following me around.
yeah,
He's speaking to me today. Hold on. So somebody might be having an epiphany or
yeah.
one of those moments while they're listening, to the podcast. Like, so what do you do if you go, oh, that's exactly what I'm doing? Like, what do you do if you realize that you have not mentally evolved? What are some practical steps that somebody can take?
Make a decision whether you choose to evolve or not. Not everyone chooses to evolve. A lot of people spend their entire lives within, they'll never wander off the ponderosa, so to speak. They'll stay
Mm,
within the smallness. And honestly, they might grow to be a big fish in a small pond, and that's perfectly fine. You
mm,
know, a lot of people spend their entire lives within the illusion. They never break free from ego. And even at the moment of death, they still remain within the ego narration. Now, if you
mm,
find yourself being unhappy where you are, believing that you're capable of more, feeling understood by the people that are surrounding you, feeling frustrated by the things that you're doing, then it's time to ask yourself, what else could I be doing and why am I not doing it? And then you want to ask yourself,
mm,
what are my old habits that I'm doing that are keeping me stuck here? And how much do I value those habits? How big is the payoff from sleeping in? How big is the payoff from being at the club on nights that you should be at home working? You know, how big is the payoff from hitting the snooze button? How big is the payoff from drinking, from smoking, from womanizing, whatever things that you're doing that may be viscerally pleasant but aren't moving you towards being a whole person? And that's
mm,
um, anything that you're using to fill the void instead of to eliminate the void, um, then that's the time to start looking there. When you get to the point where you're
mm,
like, I'm doing these things and they don't give me joy anymore. And
mm,
then as they start to bore you, you'll start wondering what else is out there. And what you'll find is that when you start to be more curious about what's inside you, that as you explore, you'll be able to see and experience more what's out here. Then the curiosity emerges. You know, it's a
Mm.
curiosity. It's not a drive. It's not a go get it. Like a lot of us came up in the grind era of entrepreneurship. You know, rising grind. You know, I'll sleep when
Right.
I'm dead. You know, I came up with software startups after I transitioned from psychiatry to like software engineering and building virtual worlds. And during that time, we like slept at our computer if we had to because we just felt like the money was right around the corner.
Mm.
But at the same time, we weren't expanding.
Mm.
You know, there was always this feeling like I wasn't spending enough time alone without feeling lonely or compelled or obsessive or behind the clock. I wasn't creating enough time when I just breathed and thought about the fact that breathing alone was a gift. And then from there, realizing, okay, what are some other things? What are some other gifts that I want to give myself in the quiet, in the dark, you know? Um, and then the reflection, introspection kicks in when you stop running away from yourself and your solitude. Um,
Mm.
and then from there, you start really listening to the stories you tell yourself, and you realize, okay, these are stories from a younger time. You know, these are stories that other people told me about myself when I was too scared to pick up the pencil and write my own story. You know, if someone told you you would never amount to something because they didn't understand the value or even the vision of what you wanted to amount to see the value in it, then in their universe, until you grab the pen from them and write your story, you will never amount to nothing because all the things you know you can be within your mind, you haven't put them out somewhere where people can come together and help you collaborate with you and help you bring it to fruition, which is evolution. Yeah.
Mm.
Humans are not the strongest, fastest animals. We didn't start tackling saber-toothed tigers and biting them with our own
Right.
teeth.
Right.
We
Right.
got together in groups of 20, 50, and we chased that bad boy down. We
Right.
exhausted certain animals. We put rings around them. We held hands until the animal panicked, freaked out, fell, ran in circles. You know, whatever strategies we used, none of those strategies would have come to fruition or come to be until we evolved to the point of being able to see the ideas that others are sharing with us from a selfless enough perspective to see the value that they see it from their view and then
Mm.
again step into our perspective and see the value that we see it from our view and realize that two are not mutually exclusive. And so we can support each other
Mm.
and synergistically get where we want to get faster and in ways that we couldn't alone.
Mm. So that sounds like almost like tribe like. It's
It is
so
absolutely tribe.
okay.
It's the difference.
Yeah.
You know, the point we are in our evolution right now is we want to understand that tribes exist in multiple forms. We used to be geographical tribes. We used to be religious tribes. Now we're internet tribes. Now you find a place where
Mm.
you feel like you belong, and you stop surfing random places on the internet. You focus your attention. You know, go where you grow where you're watered. You know, go where you feel beautiful.
Mm.
Find a couple of groups that fit your aspects of your identity. Um, Spend less time just on random broad Twitter, whatever the culture is, the zeitgeist is surfing on. You know, start pursuing groups of people who think like you and who value the way you think and are willing to challenge you to take your thinking to the next level because they've been there and they
Mm.
believe you can get there. That's evolution. Yeah, that's the true evolution when you realize that you can be a member of multiple tribes. When you realize that tribes are a mental construct, and as such, all you gotta do is grab the right book, join the right Facebook group, be on the phone with the right person, show up at the right events, and be true to yourself, who you are and where you are in your journey, and your tribe will gravitate towards you, and you will find yourself supported, and you will find yourself catapulting forward through the use of mirror neurons which are like the super highway of information in your body for reading other people's minds, basically, once you take the time to understand your own mind.
Whew. Man, that is that's some That's some heavy stuff right there, man. When I sitting here just thinking about the many ways that people talk about, you are the sum of the five people that you hang around the most. You are strong as your weakest link.
Mhm.
All of these things go right back to tribe and evolution. And I personally, this is just me, I feel like humanity right now is in another ever is evolving to another level as it relates to the understanding of things like energy,
Yep.
of being able to really, like, you hear all the stuff about manifestation and the power of the subconscious mind and and a lot of us are now really realizing that, wait a minute, this mind can do way more than we can even fathom that it can
Yep.
do.
Yep.
And you have to be at a certain point mentally to even grasp that,
Yep.
because now you're putting a lot more faith in the power of your mind and the evolution
Yep.
of it. So, with that, as you're interacting with clients and you see that they're stuck, or maybe they have to get out of a situation where it is their environment. I mean, if you grow up in a place where people shooting every night or doing dope or whatever, like, you might not, it might not be safe for you to evolve.
Mhm.
you know so in a situation like that, so how do you, if you encounter that, and of course, in evolution, just so everybody's clear, mental evolution has nothing to do with the amount of money you got, none of that. Like, that has nothing to do with any of this, because you got a bunch of, you have rich idiots, wealthy idiots, poor people that are not evolved mentally, so they can't grasp it. And I don't mean to use the word idiot, but y'all, hey, we all know some idiots. So, like, don't shoot me if you one of them. Please don't shoot me. But you have to get to a point to where you understand that the amount of money you have, your success. Now, what I will say about success, your mind plays a huge part in my opinion. If you're doing things the right way, now if you're out here robbing people and stealing money, yeah, okay, you successful, I guess. Some people's eyes, because you got paper, but you stole all of it. I'm talking about how functioning people, like entrepreneurs, people that are out here creating, that takes a lot of mental energy for you to create something like an Amazon. For you to create something out of thin air, that takes a lot of mental fortitude, and mental evolution plays a huge part of that. So, with that being said, I know I just went all the way left with this, but so if somebody is in an environment where, do you ever advise? If you find out that somebody, okay, that they're living in a very dangerous place, and them having that fight or flight is actually key to them being able to survive.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in a situation like that, or is that even a thing? Like, is there?
Oh, oh, absolutely. A lot of the people I work with are in dark places.
Mm,
Either dark places because they've had aspects of life fall apart, maybe because of addiction take them to dark places. Uh,
mm.
some people, and some people, their sex addiction takes them to the part of town that their old neighborhood, so to speak. You know,
What you talking
um,
about, Willis? What part of town is that, sir?
it's the thing about it is a lot of folks who have earned the money and the status, but haven't done the healing to be whole, they continue to be drawn to the places like the old neighborhood, the place where,
Mm,
they could impress people because, they live on the other side of town now. But and
right.
people who are in survival mode consider if you're living like that, you must not have any other problems. Ironically, when we get to a point where we have the opportunity for abundance, if we have a scarcity mindset, we find that we project scarcity into whatever we have. You know,
Mm,
when you could be making whatever amount and you'll find yourself still living beyond your means, and you will be in chase mode where your next deal is make it, break it, life or death, could lose everything, you know?
mm,
So part of the evolution process, if you're in a bad situation, is to realize that at your core, there's nothing wrong with you. If you truly tune in to what's inside you and you find a way to turn it into an art, an expression of yourself. And that art could be boxing, that art could be painting, that art could be writing lyrics, that art could be origami, that art could be something none of us ever thought of, you
mm,
know? So if you go in there, you find that thing and you pour your energy into it, and my mentors call it rage, from rage to mastery. It's when something is calling you, you don't know why, and it's not what's calling everybody else, because you know fast cars are calling everybody else, women flirting are calling everybody else, music banging your head at the club, that can call everybody else. But when you're alone in the quiet and you're not looking to do the things that will look good to everyone else, there will be something that calls you intrinsically, like a quiet inner voice. And the more time you spend with that inner voice, the louder it gets and the less appealing the noise outside sounds, other than when the noise outside is from people who can hear the same music as you can.
mm,
And what emerges then, especially in the age of the internet, is you develop an aspirational tribe. You find a group of people that when you go on Twitter, they pop up, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you might just, when you go to certain forums, they're there too because they're interested in the same things as you are. And from there, you have an opportunity to use that passion to climb from wherever you are. And
mm.
I'm not saying this as someone who's had an easy way. I've had experiences where I've lost everything and had to rebuild. I've
Right.
lost everything at times in my life and gone into 2-year depressions where all I could do was lay still, you know? But what you realize is when you have nothing, you want to be clear on why you want what you want, so that
Mm,
you don't need to have everything in the world. You don't need to impress people to feel good. You just need
right.
to see yourself in the process of manifesting, of walking in your purpose, of connecting with your why, of adding value to the world by being your most authentic self.
Mm.
At the same time, if people are coming to kill you, you gotta be ready. You gotta have a survival mode on deck, because you never know when whatever you got in your past won't be coming back. Don't be stupid. Sorry. This is reality. I mean, if you got things you've done in your past, the connections you had in your past, the circumstances, the people you've had beef with in the past, that stuff doesn't disappear. So just be aware as you're traveling on this journey that you need to establish enough social status to not be the person that everyone goes to beat on. Yet don't try to have enough status where you end up in the box all the time trying to build the street cred. You got to find that space between what you truly want to do and not letting the circumstances become your fate.
Mm. So you mean that we can't evolve to a place where we become like Neo and start dodging bullets and stuff? If our
Hey,
past come back, we just
that's a longer discussion.
oh, oh.
That's a
Dr.
longer
Manny done
discussion.
found the Dr.
There's a
Manny
lot
done
of
found the secret, y'all.
there's a
Dr.
lot of things
Morpheus
that
is on. We got Dr. Morpheus on here, y'all.
yeah. No,
Everybody give y'all
ironically,
the
ironically, the nature of limiting beliefs is that we've been told for so long that there's certain things we can't do that even joking about them makes people nervous, you know. And unless it's other people who know how to do them. So
So what's funny about what you just said, brother,
Mhm.
all jokes aside, so anybody that has watched me on my path to where I am, where I've been, where I've come from, that has seen it will tell you my tunnel vision is crazy. My tunnel vision is where I manifest everything. I get tunnel vision. If it's a woman that I want, look, that tunnel vision, she gonna be like, ain't even worried about it. Ain't even worried because the tunnel vision is gonna droop. Same thing with business. And I remember when I was I got a good friend of mine's named Cater. He was my first roommate. We both worked at Best Buy together. And at the time I had created this grocery delivery concept. And I was like, man, I need a computer. And 2 days later, he went to work, and it might be the next day. It was like that. And they were giving away a computer. They was like, hey, do you know anybody? And he saw me do that over and over, and it was like Felipe, because he did not understand. So before I say what I'm about to say, at the time he didn't really understand. We was in our early 20s. He was the most spiritual cat in the world. So he was like, did you sell your soul to the devil or something? Because every time you say something, it happens. So
yeah, synchronicity.
I'm saying that to say that. And the same thing with when I first started my business, when I was married to my first wife, I told her, I was like, hey, look, as soon as you say you cool, now if you change your mind later on down the road, but as soon as you say you're cool, I'm going into this deep, it's almost like a conscious meditative state where I am so fixated on that goal because I see that light. Everything, I don't see nothing beside me. So by the time I get to that light, if you're not right there with me, we're going to be light years apart.
Yep. I mean, that's the nature of it.
Yeah. So I was playing about the deal, but there's some things that I have seen. I have read certain books. I read this one book, can't remember the name of it, but it had mentioned something about Einstein time. Have you ever heard about the theory?
Yeah. Yeah. What book is that? You
I can't remember the name of it.
Hold on, let
Can't
me
remember
ask
the
my
name of
wife.
it.
Babe, what book had Einstein time in it? I'm on Felipe's showing. No, it's not the Upper Limit, but Big Leap.
No, it's not Big League.
It's not Big Leap. It's the book we read after Big Leap.
The one that has the upper limit concept in it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Bro, I'm gonna have to give back to you. Yeah.
So I was getting on the plane. This is y'all might think I might lose every listener when I say what I'm about to say, but no, I'm just kidding. Like, y'all gonna love me after this because y'all gonna want to know what the book is. And what's the name of that book? But so I had just finished listening to that section of the book, and it mentioned Einstein time. So basically what Einstein time, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Manning, but basically what Einstein is that you will hear or see things happening before they happen. Correct? So it's almost like you have an unlimited amount of time. We think of time as, oh man, it's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock lasts 1 minute. I mean, 2 o'clock to 2:01 is 1 minute. But really, that ain't how this thing works. So literally, dude, and it freaked me out, man. I had my AirPods in. No. I had to take. I remember what it was. I had to take my my Apple Watch off to go through TSA. And when they went through the TSA machine, I picked it up, and this freaked me out. 5 seconds before the watch dropped, I heard it drop and break. I looked around like, what in the world? Then it actually dropped. And I was like, whoa, like, what is that? Yeah. It was Einstein time. Yeah. And that's where I was going earlier. Even when I mentioned the whole thing about Neo, and Morpheus, like, this stuff is, I mean, the Facebook is kind of like the Matrix. We ain't gonna go there right now, but so there's so many things that we have that are unexplainable, and as you said, limiting beliefs. That's also a part because we've been told, we've been built. If you can't hear, eat, see, touch it, if you can't use your senses, your physical senses, but we always say stuff like, man, I got a bad feeling about this,
Yep.
Or I got a good feeling about this, or this person has negative energy, this person has positive. So we're all in our field. What is a feeling? You can't touch a feeling. So I feel like all of that is part of mental evolution. So what I'm going with this is, so as it relates, I want us to get as deep as possible as we can before 9:30.
Okay.
So as far as feelings, and if there's anything that you need to touch that you knew you want to touch on, please, because we're just going, how we talk, brother. So but as far as feelings or just that deeper level of evolution, what do you feel? I know we talked about the limiting beliefs, but what do you feel can help us as humans? Because I feel like it's almost not that, it's almost like a life or death, to be totally honest. It's almost like a life or death thing that we do evolve to that place, because right now we're so superficial. I mean, look how dangerous our country is right now for no reason at all.
Yep.
Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, all this stuff, that the only thing that should matter is that I'm a human, that's an animal. We're the same. I'm not like this animal. Going back to your initial point.
Yeah.
If a tiger sees us in the if if a group of tigers see us in the jungle, they'll go, wait a minute. Oh, that's a black human. You know what? Hey, you cool with us. But I ain't doing that. Right. I ain't doing that. And then even from a societal or from a national standpoint, if the country got invaded or we were at war, nobody cares what color that soldier is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're at a point, in my opinion, where we need to start evolving and vibrating at a much higher level.
Yeah.
So can we kind of, is there something that you can tell us about people that do want to, because we might have somebody on here that is struggling with that knows that, man, like, I don't like being, prejudiced, racist, or whatever, against another person over something that's so superficial and so something that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think ultimately it begins with surrendering ego. And surrendering ego is something you do every day, all day, throughout the day. It's just you just come to notice that you're in the middle of doing something that's being driven by a story that you've been taught to believe, but that ultimately is not true. That's the main thing. It begins with, for me, it began with coaching, a lot of meditation. I had some trauma. I still carry some trauma and some PTSD stuff. So I got into like the yoga, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which is a trauma therapy, the hypnosis, um, dance, music. It's a matter of finding a space in which you can express yourself and see who else is either enjoying your expression or expressing themselves in a way that creates a harmony with you, indicating that they share your vision. Yeah, that's the key, because once we feel a sense of belonging, once we feel a sense of safety, once we feel that we're in a place where we won't be shamed for the disclosure of our truth and for allowing, slowly little subtler facets of ourselves to come out, then we've developed the intimacy and the love of presence that keeps us out of ego. Because the only thing that keeps a person out of ego is awareness. And the main driver for awareness is some sort of love, some sort of curiosity, some sort of drive to see what is in the other. And I'm not talking about like a physical infatuation. I'm talking about like really wanting to see who your kids are beyond cultural roles, really wanting to see who you're married to beyond just having them play a cartoon or TV wife. Really getting to know why your parents are the way they are now that they're no longer having to actually live in the house with you and raise you. You know,
Mm,
sitting down and realizing when you're triggered, how are you different? What are the different parts of you at war inside of you, and which ones come to the foreground when, and how does that manifest? And which ones do you wish would come forward less often, and how do you quiet that part of your mind? You know, and it's the quiet that leads to the evolution. You know, evolution is about heading towards consciousness. Consciousness is really about organized information, you know.
mm,
So the less noise you have in your mind in any given moment, the more you can be conscious of where you are, the more present you can be, you know, the
mm,
more you can let in, and the more that is meaningful to you and that will nurture you, that you can let in, as opposed to letting in toxic things or putting out things that end up rebounding later and coming back to you as drama, as poison, as negative emotions.
You just so many people are unaware that their subconscious mind controls them, right? Because you just
Yeah.
talked about consciousness and quiet, and people are like, well, what does that mean? What that means, everybody, is that things like meditation, the purpose of meditation is for you to train or to basically get control over your mind, more importantly, your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the most damaging part of your being, in my opinion, because it is one that is running without your authority. You talk about little voices and stuff. Oh, I got, what you're hearing is your whatever was programmed as a child and all throughout your life. It's not a conscious thought. It is an unconscious thought that is controlling you. And you wonder why things like fear, like, oh, I got a fear of public speaking, I got a fear this, fear that, fear whatever. A lot of that is stuff that you ain't even dealt with. But your subconscious mind is telling you you're not good enough. Really, that's your parent telling you you're not good enough, or whoever put those thoughts. Correct me if I'm wrong, because Dr. Man is way smarter than I am. I'm just
All right.
we we go we gonna talk about Dickie and the brain at some point, y'all. But
Yep.
that's a
Yep.
whole nother situation. But when you realize that your subconscious mind is really your puppet master,
Uh-huh.
that's what it is. It's your puppet master. And once you start to understand that you have to get total control of your subconscious mind, or it will wreak havoc on your life forever. And that's but it's not a topic that people talk about, right? Like most of us walk around unaware that we're not being controlled by the thoughts that we want to have. We're being controlled by thoughts that we do not want to have.
Yeah.
Right now, everybody listening, try to stop thinking. You can't turn your mind off. You can't do it. So you have to do things like meditation, concentrate on your breathing, concentrate on this, concentrate on, think about what's going on around you. Look at the host. You got to do it because your subconscious mind is on go all the time. It has its own little script and its own little mission that is on.
Yeah.
And that mission does not, and that scripting does not understand the difference between what somebody telling you is BS, grown up as a child, or what somebody told. So if your parents grew up telling you, man, you could be the president, you can be the president, you could be whatever you want to be, blah, 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 you are going to believe that you can be all of that. Like I got a friend of mine that told me that his parents were just awesome. Like they told him he could do it, and he does everything. He runs Ironmans. He's just la 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 la. I'm like, dude, my brain, I fight past stuff every day. That I got told that I couldn't do. So with that, how do people, because I would think that getting control of your subconscious mind has a lot to play with you being able to evolve past a certain point.
Yep.
So
Yep.
with that thought, how does one quiet that joker that don't know how to shut the double hockey sticks up in him? Like how, what are some baby steps that somebody
Yeah.
can take?
Well, the first step is to learn to observe your unconscious mind. And the way you do that is to watch yourself the times when you fly off the handle, when you're triggered. Look
Mm,
at what you do naturally. Look at the things that you do that you narrate negatively. Look at the things that happen to you that you undervalue with your language. You know, um, everything from you know, speaking dismissively to your wife and kids who are choices that you made. You chose your wife, in our culture, if American culture, and you created these kids. These are projections of you. Yet if
mm,
you're constantly berating them and undervalue them, this is how you're self-loathing. If you
mm,
identify with a tribe that is a tribe of low self-esteem, be aware of that. Be aware
mm,
what is embedded in your tribe and really what your tribe is proud of, what your tribe is ashamed of, and how that is affecting you as a person on a subconscious level.
mm,
And that's the beginning to observe because a lot of us jump in and try to change things. But when you change things, you're going to change things after you evaluate things. And a lot of times it's that premature judgment of yourself that interferes with self acceptance, which
mm.
we need for self love and self observation. Because if you're criticizing yourself, your brain will hide things from you. You'll be the most absent-minded, forgetful, uh, you know, son of a somebody that you've ever seen. Yeah.
Mm.
Hold on, I was
Got
reading.
a qu-
Yeah, yeah. So ultimately, the process begins with observation, with the intention of not doing anything, and this works
Mm,
for everything from if a person wants to create an intention to stop drinking, for example. The first step is to take an honest look at what your drinking is doing to you and
mm,
what you're giving up because of your drinking. And asking yourself, are these things that you've thought through the value? Because a lot of times when we take on a maladaptive habit, a dysfunctional habit, we don't think through the other stuff. We just assume that's all we got. During fear, we make the decision and we hold on to it.
mm,
When people enter toxic relationships, usually they did that on autopilot. And if you're in a toxic relationship, ask yourself, let me look at this relationship and see what are the things that draw me to this kind of relationship. Oh, I feel safest when I'm being yelled at, you know, or I feel I like negative attention. I grew up believing that any attention is good attention, or whatever other phrases we're telling ourselves that lead to these outcomes that we complain about on the surface, yet our subconscious continues to do. A person will complain about one type of person, and as soon as they're away from them, they'll come up with a cardboard copy, or they'll rebound into the opposite involuntarily, unconsciously, then get their feelings hurt on that end of the pool and come bouncing
mm,
back to the other end saying that this has been treated them better and it wasn't that bad after all. When we
mm,
get intentional, we start realizing that we have these scripts that are running and then we see what happens. What happens if I fight this script? Oh, I trip out. That script we don't mess with. You
mm,
get that existential crisis
mm,
where you ask yourself the wrong questions and you actually go on a journey for the answer. But still,
mm,
once you can observe yourself without judging, then you'll find that everything going on around you that triggers noise in you, everything that gets a reaction out of you, it's because of things you believe about yourself. You
mm,
know, if you believe that a person should be a certain height, their skin should be a certain tone, their hair should be a certain way, they should have this degree, they should have this income, they should live in this kind of house, and you don't have it yet, with the same energy that you're low key judging people around you for not having it, you're applying that judgment to yourself at all times. And as
mm,
such, anytime you're trying to take a real look around you to see what you do have, which is a real indicator of what you valued up until now, as demonstrated by your actions, your choices, your behaviors, your words, and your commitments. Yeah. If you don't take a look at that, observe that, then if you're going to do the self-deception where you're going to have your head in the future all the time and not really have made a clear decision as to what is the path from here to there. If you're trying to get to Florida from New York, it's a whole different thing than trying to get to Florida from Paris. You want to make sure you know which
Mm,
way you're going. So you want to have that clarity of what you want, and then you have to take the time to observe the things that you're doing that are contrary to what you want, or to notice that you don't really know what you want, or to realize that what you want, you don't know why you want it. So you're willing to take any version of it or anything close. Because when
mm,
you're really clear on what you want, um, then you can tell what is noise. The things that aren't related to it are what is noise. And the practice of deliberately returning your attention and your focus and your energy and your love to the thing that you say you love is what creates a narrative in which people say this person makes decisions on their values, not on their impulses.
mm.
This is a person who, when they say they will, it's because they will apply their willpower.
Right.
Not someone who they'll promise you they'll be somewhere and they can't make it because their mood changed
Mm,
or because they got distracted by someone flirting on the way there.
right.
The evolution process, deciding what you want bad enough to leave behind the things that you're waddling in right now, that you're wallowing in, so that you can serve and play your role further down the line, which is ultimately moving forward the evolution of other minds. That's always our purpose, to move forward to the point where we belong, turn around, bring some more people forward, have them lift us so we can rest and move forward again and return. We continue as a tribe, as a species to move forward by propagating this information and propagating a blueprint to each other as to how we learn to evolve our minds from within based off our desires and values and passions.
Mm. Man, that is. Once I learned how to meditate and then just listen to my thoughts and then just let them float on by, just let them,
Mhm.
just let them, just like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
It can get scary because you're like, why am I having this thought?
Mhm.
And once you master the ability to really not be so consumed and so controlled by your internal programming and your subconscious, it is such a freeing and liberating thing. And I feel like if more people would start to understand that not only is their subconscious holding them back, it's also telling you a bunch of lies.
Absolutely.
When you start thinking about, people saying stuff like, I can't, and I got a big thing in my house with my kids. Like, we don't try anything. We don't, if you're gonna try it, don't do it. That's my motto. If you're gonna try something, that why even don't even bother with it.
Yep.
And also, don't like the word can't, I can't do it. Like, I got a 4-year-old son, and like, I don't allow can't. Like, no, you can. No. Because a 4-year-old would say something like, I can't tie my shoes. I
Mhm.
can't. You can't tie your shoes. Why? You got hands, I got hands. You got fingers, I got fingers. Why can't you? Now, if you don't want to tie your shoes, okay, I get it. Or you're tired, or you're tired of the process of learning how to tie. I get it. But to say that you can't is you basically are getting yourself accustomed to, in my opinion, quitting and giving
Mhm.
yourself an out to things that you don't need to have an out for.
Yep. Excuse making.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I hate, like, even the whole victim. Like, right now, it's so popular to be a victim in our society. And I'm this helpless victim. Let me tell you my victim story and how the world did me wrong, and I'm still stuck as a victim. I want to make all this money off being the victim, I want to make all the money off being the victor. So I can show you how to be the victor and how to be victorious. You might not go to Harvard like Dr. Manning, but you can still be victorious. But, but you know, so, but with that, like so many people just don't understand. It's like they don't get it. I don't care if you are a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, or an atheist. The one thing we all know is that words are, to me, the most powerful thing that we have. What you tell yourself, what others tell you, all of that. That is the most, like, you know, you heard those sticks and stones may break my bones, words never. Man, please. You might not remember that punch, huh?
Some words stay with you, bro.
Right. I don't remember the spankings, but I remember the negative words that my mom spoke, and they're there. I can't remember how bad the spanking was. Like, oh, I can't think about it. Oh my God, oh, ouch, ooh, that was, you know, I believe it was bad, you know, because I remember crying. But those words, we got it twisted. We got to start. If the world is telling you no, you damn better be telling yourself yes. I can, I am. I look in the mirror every day and tell myself, I am, I can, I am a champion. I am a warrior. I can do all things that are possible. If Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, or Bill Gates, or Dr. Manny, I just put you in a.
I enjoyed the context.
If they can do it, I can do the exact same thing or higher. Because we're all human beings. I don't care what color you are, anything else. Yeah, we got societal issues and stuff like that, but a lot of this stuff is in your brain. You telling yourself that if I go certain places, I'm gonna get shot. I remember I had a coworker that she wouldn't. Used to live in Atlanta. This woman would not go inside the 285. She was 60 years old. Never been inside the perimeter. She said because her parents told her that if she goes into the perimeter, she's going to get shot. And I was like, wow, is the murder rate that high inside of it? I've been inside of, thank you for sparing me, because I went to school inside of the perimeter all my life, you know, and now to hear that, I'm like, wow, you know, but she was really scared. But her mind, she still had the mind of a teenager.
Yeah.
So with that, man, I mean, so you know, we got about 26 minutes left. So how do you get people to release the beast? To calm that mind, to get that mind on your script, not you on its script.
Well, the funny thing about observation with mind, let me get comfortable. The funny thing about observation and mind is that as you observe and you restore trust with the parts of you, because one of the most effective ways to think about yourself is you have a hungry part, you have a motivated part, you know, you have a flirtatious part, you have a grumpy part. You know, when you start listening to these parts and helping them do their job, they change the way they talk to you. A lot of times we have parts that talk negative to other parts, and we get to the point where the parts are in conflict. This is the nature of internal conflict. One part we're all familiar with is our future selves. And we mistreat our future selves because we always leave stuff for our future self to do. So you know your future self don't trust your current self, that's for sure. Until you set up and you know, and then your future self, your current self, kind of expects your future self to come back and criticize you, because a lot of us have given up our future selves to our parents. We, instead of running our future self recognizing scripts and stuff, we talk to ourselves like our parents used to, with the limitations. You'll never be anything but this, that, the other. That's why you're lazy, this and that. You've always been disrespectful. Whatever we heard, those hurtful words that we heard along the journey, we replace our ability to have this open presence, this curious, introspective, expansive consciousness with fear and negative emotions, because negative emotions result in avoidance. And we avoid things, that means we're not curious about them, about those things. And if we're not curious about something, we can't elaborate it. And that goes for relationships. If we're not curious about someone beyond how they can please us or how we can take advantage of them, then we're not going to be able to see aspects of them that will take us to a whole different world.
Mm,
Their love for art, their love for cooking, their love for dance, theater, ballet, or whatever it is that that person has cultivated a subtle appreciation for. When you could open yourself up to that, then you could expand. So ultimately, releasing your most powerful self is moving from the mindset that when you're alone, you're lonely. Now, when you move from that state, you lose the fear of other people's opinions. You lose the fear of abandonment that triggers this tribal, animalistic, clinging response to anyone who will have you, anyone who will attend to you, people way below your standards.
mm,
In the alone time, what you develop is an understanding of your way of thinking and how you operate in the quiet, how you get to the quiet. And then as you spend more of that time alone, you start cultivating parts of you that you're curious about, and not parts to impress other people, parts that you're just wondering what you could do with them. Then you'll start to sublimate. And sublimation is one of the advanced coping mechanisms. It's when you look at a piece of art, or you listen to some lyrics, or you take some food, or you see someone in a boxing match, and you say that person has poured their pain into that practice because
mm,
there's a state they can reach. Yeah. That
mm,
state, that flow state, that's the quietest state your mind can get to. It's a state where your body is like, I got this, and anything that's coming, I got that too. I'll make it up as we go along because I've got this. I just trust me. When your whole system can say, trust me, because you're that prepared, you're that confident, you're that competent, you're that surrounded by a support team, you have that much access to your resources where all you need to do is do the thing and the other things will show up, then you're in full
mm,
manifest mode. Yeah.
mm,
And you won't get to there as long as you're in the drama, you're in the jealousy, you're in the petty competitiveness, you're in the keeping up with the Joneses. All these things create ego-based representations. And anytime you're experiencing anything through the lens of ego, it inevitably has scarcity because ego separates you.
mm,
Ego leads to comparison. Wherever you are now, the second you activate ego, you can't fully be present because now you got to activate the part of your mind that either has to think about another place where the grass might be greener, or a place in the future where you might be more successful, or back to your high school football days when you were surrounded by all the ladies and all the cool guys. You know, any any comparison, whether it's other people's property or different parts in your life, diminishes your sense of presence and your value of where you are now. And that stays
mm,
with you. That stays with you. And if you're doing it as a habit, that rumination, that constant self criticism, that self deprecation, that choosing people who don't treat you in the manner that you deserve to be treated, you know, if you're doing that as a way of being, then you develop a bit of a fixed mindset because everyone around you is prone to giving you rejecting, limiting, scarcity based feedback. No one wants to see you do but so much better because they don't know that there's better out there that allows both of you to eat. So they see you doing better. They're like, oh, he doing better. I need to go ahead and choke him out so that he don't eat up all the food with these new tactics he's learning, as opposed to let me and this guy team up and let's go make better pies. You know?
mm, mm. We just had a question. So can you get there on your own, or does it require outside help or therapy? I responded, therapy helps you get there faster. You can do it by yourself, but it's just going. It's a
Yeah.
you are constantly fighting yourself at that point.
Yeah. And ultimately, if you do it by yourself, it won't be worth it. Because
Mm,
we are creatures of meaning, and meaning exists in context, and context only exists when there's other people there with you validating what you're perceiving. You know, a song sounds better when you have other people with you, like this thing jamming. I know, yeah, and y'all hype each other up and you enjoy it more. You know, as humans, our nature is to share. You know, you
Mm,
learn exponentially faster the second you decide to share with people, because the second you're trying to teach people something, you realize aspects of it that you don't know. You realize aspects of it that you stored in your mind in ways that are incoherent and inarticulable, ineffable.
mm,
And then doing the work of simplifying it, clarifying it, making it interesting enough where people stick around. That's the process in which you reconnect with your own passion and you clarify and distill your own drive and your own vision so as you can pass
mm,
it on to someone else. And again, this is the
mm,
nature of mental evolution.
mm,
You're allowing someone's mental models to be catalyzed, move forward through the means that you have in your mind.
mm.
You know, so
I
you
got
could
the
do it.
book,
You got which one? Which one? Virus of the Mind,
Psycho Cybernetics.
Psychocybernetics. Yes, that's
That's it.
Max Schatz, Max Schwartz. What's his name?
I think
Max
I think it is Schwartz. Yeah, think that's it.
Switchberg. Yeah. He used to
Yeah,
be a plastic surgeon. Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, yeah. That's one of the psychocybernetics is one of the cleanest models of tuning your mind. It uses a metaphor of, basically, I think perceptual control theory is the original software theory that they used to use with robots to help robots
Mm,
like see reality and stuff.
mm,
And so psychocybernetics basically teaches you how to just take each of the different parts of your processes and clean them up so you can work like the smoothest machine ever.
mm.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not worth it to do it by yourself. Because here's the thing: when I was in my depression, I spent 2 years by myself learning techniques. I did all kinds of writing. I did yoga. I did meditation. I was running. I was lifting. I was eating increasingly nutritiously. But honestly, it wasn't until um, I started pulling myself back out and connecting to people to serve that I really started to grow. I started to grow significantly. And then I started to feel better about myself because I started to see the value in the experience that I'd had. And it allowed me to grow even more. Watching other people grow was like a review or a chance to see the stuff from a different perspective. So you need the other people. That's the context. You can't have a hero's journey if you don't come back, and tell the people the amazing thing you did so they can try it too. That's the nature of the species.
Mm.
We bring each other forward. Don't do it yourself. Do it with a tribe, that tribe that loves you.
Because that was one of the things that of course, like there are ways that you can, that we can, basically, use NLP, hypnotherapy to hypnotize ourselves by recording ourselves, while, and doing the scripts. But I've just always been one that I would much rather use somebody else,
Yeah.
because if I'm like you said, if I'm depressed, you know, whatever I recorded, prior to that, it might not, I might go somewhere that that recording ain't gonna be able to bring me out of. So,
Yeah.
um, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
So we got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to get into, just so I can make sure before I start asking more questions? As still in all your mind.
Your mind, your mental evolution is happening anyway. It's just a
Mm,
matter of not slowing it down by distracting or sabotaging yourself. I mean, look at kids. They're gonna hit puberty, they're gonna grow. Now,
mm,
some of them are going to grow less well because of their sleep cycle, their nutrition, their prefrontal cortex, the front of their brain is going to grow. Now, if they hit some drugs early enough, they can knock themselves off track. If they had some toxic events or they were in environments with pollution, and they broke a leg, they were abused, you'll see the marks. But
mm,
ultimately, we each have this, a lot of people refer to it as this soul, this central energetic script that's running, that's doing something. If you tune in and listen to what it's attempting to do, and then become a steward of your own expansion, then your evolution takes place naturally. You'll find yourself wanting to spend more time alone to do the introspection and reflection that allows for expansion. Expansion of you, not expansion to meet the needs of the circumstances or the people around you.
Mm.
And then you'll attract people who actually like you instead of people who you constantly have to please. You'll attract people that see value in you being your best self, and even see value in helping you when you're lesser self.
And that's that whole thing about us not really understanding in totality how this thing works, because that word attraction is a very powerful word. And people do not understand how powerful it is, and how, even though we know, we use all of these, for lack of a better way of saying this, energetically based words like attraction. You're attracted to a magnet, has, and when I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was telling them, when you're in a manifestation state, when you're in a extremely focused hyper state, the reason that people that are high functioning, or that are manifesting, or in a how can I say this, in a I don't want to use the word admirable state, but if you're in a state where you're seen as the epitome of whatever it is, and
Exalted,
we all, say that again.
exalted state.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. So yes. Where? Right. Okay. So I remember I was like, I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I've been in relationships. I've been in some good ones, but I've been in some. And I'm like, what the hell? But because I remember I was in a relationship one time, and you know, and the woman, she just perverted everything about me. She didn't realize that I was manifesting. And I told somebody earlier today, I was coaching a client, and I said, you got to realize that when you're in a state where you're manifesting and you're asking the universe for something, the only way that we can monetize our worth on this planet for the majority of us is through people. So you have to be able to attract people to whatever it is that you're doing. When you are attracting people, you're attracting men and women. Unfortunately, the problem is that in this relationship I was in, all she saw was the women that were being attracted, but they weren't being attracted. I mean, some of them probably were being attracted on a physical level, but they were being attracted because of the energy that I was putting out. And I needed that in order to accomplish what I was looking to accomplish. So I'm saying that because people don't understand that. And I also realized that you might want to be on the episode. I'm talking about the downfall of man, of high functioning men. And that's the reason why the last level of, I'm going to use the word attack. It's really not an attack. It's just that you got all of these, you got this shine on you, or you got these, people being attracted to you. So now you got women, men, whatever. But if you're a heterosexual male, all you're seeing is the women. Oh man, she's fine. Blah, 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 blah. So, and they're attracted to your to your shine, for lack of a better way. I'm not using words that that you would use at Harvard. Everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I give Dr. Manny a hard time, but they're attracted to it. It's like an athlete, same thing. Those are high functioning. They are the best basketball players in the, you know what I'm saying, or football players or whatever. Same thing with entertainers, but they don't understand it because they're a lot of them are on a more carnal level. They're there because of their physical prowess, so they aren't even trying to get here where we are a lot of times. So, but in reading and just understanding that, man, look, no, this ain't about, okay, yeah, I got all these, people being attracted to me. Now I gotta master self at that point. I gotta have self-control. Hopefully I got a good woman in my life, that can help me satisfy my needs, because it is a lot. When you are constantly bombarded with that, like boom, 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 like everybody is just drawn to you. And I can see how you'll have people failing at that stage because it's like the final stage. It's like
Yeah.
the boss level. It's like the Mike Tyson level in Punch Out.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So we'll talk about that.
one of the things I want to say about that is the approach that I've studied as far as leadership is authentic leadership. And what they
Yeah.
say in authentic leadership is the importance of, we all know the halo effect, where when you put out a clear signal and you attract people around you uh, that are attracted to signal, you become this epicenter, where you're the thing that the people are talking about, but it's not really, you don't want to get, well, I've always remind myself not to get caught in the illusion that it's not about me, it's about the signal, it's about the energy, like you said. So one of the things that it's important to have happen, at least in my practice, is the depersonalization, where you basically point people to the things that the tribal values that they're attracted to, so that they can realize it's not about you. Well, to me,
Mm,
it's not that, because to me, at any point in time, if I get caught up in my head about who's calling, who's flirting, who's interested, and even really how much money something is generating, whether it's a talk or whatever, then then
mm,
then it's easy to lose track of the work.
absolutely.
I've done this before where, I worked endless hours because I was grinding double overtime, whatever, you know, or I was chasing selling a piece of software as a startup, as part of a startup. And then you get to the point where you haven't taken the time to discipline yourself to slow down,
Mm,
you know. And the reason is that if you're sprinting pure hedonism, you know, um, then there's a place where you'll disconnect the physical, the lust, the race, the velocity, the rush, the momentum will disconnect you from the truth and stillness of the present, and the truth
mm,
and stillness, truth and opportunity of the relationships that come in front of us.
mm,
Because with me, especially with the work that I do, when someone comes to me, my goal has to always be to figure out what the wounds are in this person that lead them to approach me in the way that they're approaching me.
mm.
If someone's approaching me with accelerated sexuality, for me, I'll be like, okay, all right, back up, ma'am. What's that?
Right,
What's that about?
right,
And and that took getting beyond the initial, ooh, shawty hot, she hollering.
right, right, right. I
That took,
get it.
and it wasn't a short journey from that, but the depersonalization is an important part, because you'll see churches and businesses where people suck the energy out of what that organization could have been by being
Mm,
caught up in the egocentric, you know, self-absorbed suction of the supply that was ours, using it
mm,
as if they were theirs. If
mm,
if you're sucking energy out of your people and your tribe, and you're not making sure they're pouring it back in, then ultimately the tribe dies.
mm,
Yeah. So to me, part of the most important part of authentic leadership is the continued redirection of any energy that is coming towards me, towards the cause. Because
mm,
ultimately, long after I'm gone, I would like to think that any tribe that I'm involved in or led will thrive, and they will take care of each other.
mm, mm. So, do you have any tribal initiatives right now? Is there a Dr. Manny tribe somewhere around here?
Is there a Dr. Manny tribe?
There's a Dr. Manny tribe somewhere.
Uh, uh, well, the one I invite people to in public is it's called Dr. Manny's Asylum Triage on Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
That's the one. Um, that's my meditation and neuroscience tribe. So
That's that's the level one. That's the first stage of the game, y'all.
yeah, yeah,
It's level
and
one.
that's the only one we need to talk about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I get it. Yeah, yeah. So,
Come through, talk some neuroscience. And
right.
I have a hashtag Asylum Awaits, which you can find throughout the internet. And me and my writing team, my social media team, they manage all that, and they let me know what's going on. And I drop by and and read that stuff. So you can engage with me there, and you'll meet some of the people I hang out with out in public. But I increasingly am going behind the scenes and loving the people who love me and contributing to the people who contribute to me.
Mm,
And that
absolutely.
takes a certain amount of isolation and withdrawal from the general population.
So, if there was one thing that you had to leave people with on tonight, what would that one thing be?
And we're alive, enjoy it.
Mm,
Enjoy it. We are alive. This has been a heck of a year. Um, Wherever you are right now, be grateful.
mm.
Just
Wherever you are right now, yeah.
be grateful. Just do it. Trust me. Just do it. That's it.
So I want to,
Gratitude is the ultimate mental evolution, the ability to attain the state of gratitude and to perceive abundance around you.
mm,
That's evolution, because fear
mm,
is the blocker of evolution.
mm. So I want to tell y'all gonna be seeing a whole lot more of Dr. Manny around here. We got some things that we're about to put together. The whole purpose of this podcast was for us to get your mind right, and we're gonna. I guarantee you that you will not listen to this podcast. Do some of the things that we're about to put together and be the same person, because at the end of the day, I have gone through a lot. Dr. Manny talked. I already told you, he done had 5 Bentleys, lost all of them. You know what I'm saying? And then he got Bugattis. So
Stop
no, I'm
playing,
just
boy.
kidding, y'all.
Stop playing, boy.
I'm just kidding, y'all. But he
Yeah.
was real. I mean, the whole purpose of this show is so you can be empowered. And if you got any topics or anything that you would like to see us cover, just go to thebusinessofyourmind.com. Hit me up on Facebook or wherever, and let's get it. Because at the end of the day, I know Dr. Manny's passion is helping people. It's helping you get past, because we both have situations where we grew up in situations that weren't ideal. We didn't grow up in a situation where our parents were like, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be, and you're an amazing kid, and you're just going to be powerful. You're going to go to Harvard. You're going to start a business.
Oh, no.
You're going to write.
My parents were on me for that now. They were like, you.
Oh, you are going to Harvard. Well,
my parents told me that when I was in like 3rd grade, bro.
Okay, so his parents told him
like,
that. Oh, so there was still some trauma associated with that as well. But basically what I'm saying is that, right. So basically what I'm saying, y'all, is that we want to make sure that y'all are being empowered, and that I don't care where you are in life right now, you can change your life just like that. And once you realize that, and that's what the purpose of this show is for you to be able to take control of your mind and get it right, so that way we're not, stuck in this pattern of us believing that we're anything less than what we are. So with that being said, man, I appreciate you, Dr. Manny, for coming on, brother. And if you could sign us off with the power up, with the business of your mind.
Yes. Business of your mind. Is that a little bit I've been practicing, bro?
It was. I clowned him last time. He got it, y'all. He got it. Look, we're gonna be. I enjoyed this. We're gonna be back on next week. I hope y'all have been enjoying the show. That new intro we got is fire, and we will be back on next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with another phenomenal guest. We got Dr. Shay Brown coming on. The brother is just the happiest person I have ever seen in the history of happiness. But we're about to get to it, y'all. I love you, brother. I love everybody watching it. And let's get it, y'all. The business of your mind. And we out.
If you want to get your business right, you've got to get your mind right. Businessofyourmind.com.